everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Fran Bailey. Hi, Fran.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm so excited to get to introduce my audience to your beautiful, beautiful work. And Fran and I have known each other, we don't want to say how many years, but we went to high school together. A long time ago.
Yeah.
And we both went to a private girls' school where we got to wear civvies on Friday. But the rest of the week we wore uniforms. And Fran was a dancer, and she was always into very creative and beautiful and expressive experiences, where I was more into, I was an athlete. I was doing gymnastics and hockey and all sorts of stuff, volleyball, even though I'm short. But anyway, so Fran, do you want to talk a little bit about your journey, just to start so that people understand that you have an incredible capacity to read people's bodies because you know the body so well. And your journey started even when we were in school together, knowing the body and delighting in using it. So could maybe start there and take us on a little bit of a journey of how all of this magical skill that you have started.
Oh, well, thank you, Kathy. It started with loving music and dance, and my background and my family background was vaudeville, and my dad sang and my mom danced, and so music was always big and in our house. And I started doing ballet at age 3, I think. And my mom had she had the ballet teacher come to our house, and it was in a barn. So there was a bar in the barn, and I was probably 5. Anyway, so I could barely reach the bar, but I would take class with my mom and her friends, and I just fell in love with it. Just fell in love with the idea of moving the body and hearing the music and feeling the energy and all that stuff. So it just was a light went on for sure. And then I continued dancing through college and became a career, and loved the choreography and loved the concept of an audience. And it just was enlightening. And so, I loved dance, I loved poetry, loved all the arts. And of course, I love all the philosophy. That was part of my background too, as far as Eastern religion. And I grew up as a Christian Scientist, which was not a believer in medicine. So we had a lot of, I would say, positive thinking about the body and what the body can do to heal itself. So that was ingrained in me. And I really think that was part of the journey, that the body is a perfect instrument. And through movement and expression, I knew that could happen naturally. So then moving forward, I started doing energy work through a doctor from Cincinnati who said that I could see energy because I was teaching his children at a Montessori school, and I would have the parents come and come and take class. And he said that I could see energy, and I just said, well, what's that? So I studied with a woman out of California, Rosalyn Bruyere, absolutely fabulous medical intuitive, and taught me about energy and running energy on a body. And that was just a perfect fit. I just said, okay, we got this. We can use my feet, we can use my hands, and we'll figure it out. And my abilities were increasing as I understood that healing part of myself. So I studied with 2 known psychics, John Friedlander and Gloria Hemsher, who were my also studied with and learned how to meditate deeply. And then I started pulling the SHEVA method together. I said, well, there's movement and there's meditation and there's energy. How am I going to do energy and movement and teach people how to run energy on themselves? So I continued to study the movement and study energy so that I came up with body movement for everybody to learn using a roller and a mat to understand pressure points and how the body speaks and how the body gives us cues and how the body doesn't lie. So that kind of intelligence, mind, body, heart intelligence started making sense. You know, how am I going to do the body work, do the meditation, write a book, Emergence, to help you understand the foundation of consciousness and how the chakra system works. So it just evolved and evolved and evolved. And then I think during COVID was the sort of the notch. And I would sit in the studio. This is my dance studio, but it's also my healing place too. I would sit because I couldn't see anybody. So I would study laying on the floor and say, okay, what do people need? What is it that they need? How can I share this work so that everyone can use it? So sitting in the studio, mapping out this body work, and then finding a way to increase the method as a full method. So you're working with your body, mind, heart, soul through meditation, but also included what's called the Enneagram, which is the study of the psyche, you know, our personality disorders, or not disorders, but dysfunctions. Okay, disorder. Anyway, yeah, I believe that was sort of the key to understand that, yeah, we're human, we have faults, we make mistakes, life is not easy, nobody gets off easy, but how do we navigate? How do we navigate? And I think that was the biggest question is, how am I going to do this? And let's get this done. So COVID was great. And for that reason.
Well, I think a lot of, you know, when we look in hindsight, I think a lot of people are going to say that the awarenesses and the capacity to really go deep and really look at places that we were maybe afraid to look at before, or we looked at quickly and flip the page of the book.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, if you're afraid you're going to die, which is what it started out like, this invisible thing was going to come and get you, and it which was good actually. Whoever created all of this, it was kind of good because there wasn't an enemy like all the other things that have happened that have been disruptive in the history of mankind. That's been conflict against a known entity. This was this invisible thing that without warning could knock you out. So it didn't matter if you'd eat well, drink plenty of water, you know, any of that stuff. It was like, oh, I could be gone tomorrow. Better clean up my stuff. And what I noticed with your work, I mean, it's amazing, Fran. I just hope the audience can understand how enthusiastic. I went to the IONS conference last year in Salt Lake City, and I was in charge of the exhibitors, the vendors. And I got to have my room with a bunch of other people, and some of the people were sick. And I caught a bad cold, and I was miserable. It was a science project for a full week. And then I called you as soon as I got back and went, oh, please. I know my appointment isn't for another week. Could you help me? And you unbelievable. It was as though, because I had really been taking good care of myself. I did all the things I already knew how to do, which I have lots of stuff here. But in one session, you knocked it out. And it was as though there was something that needed to be dialed in. It was as though you saw almost like a radio, that I was a radio, and you dialed me to a better station or something. Well, that's how fast it was.
Yeah.
With one session. So could you explain, maybe using my example of what happens when you work with somebody like me, where because I'm very healthy normally. That was just I don't know if it was a hitchhiker on me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, but I think all of us have all of that because we're matched to the energy. Could you talk a little bit about, because just so everyone knows, Fran is a medical intuitive. So she actually went in and looked at my whole systems. She could actually see how my body's organs and the energy systems were working, and then go dial me in. So could you talk about that?
Yes, I think I can.
You can use me as an example or someone else.
No, I think it's well, first of all, it happens. I never know, I can, when I really hone in on somebody's energy and look at the situation of where they came from, what's happening in the moment or the day before, what's causing all this. So first of all, I looked at the energy she was in. There was a massive amount of energy, lots of moving parts. And Kathy's an empath. So she, can take on energy and maybe not know that it's there. But I think also physically, it's almost like a science. It's almost like an Einstein. I'm going into like a sacred geometry visual. So if I could just think about drawing it. So I'll look at her body very quickly from above and say, okay, so there's a block here and a block here. If we pull it out here, and if we give her the tool to do that, then the energy will move. We'll move into the inside, we'll move in the organs, we'll do the spleen, we'll do the liver, which are the filters, and we'll pump up her immune system, let go of cordings to someone else, or the event itself can drag into the body field. Now, the energy field holds a lot of stuff, not just inside the body. So, there are all kinds of tricks of the trade that I've learned through the years. There's so many. So I'll give you an example. If someone has an open wound, and sometimes illness is an open wound. Kathy, I don't know if I told you this, but oftentimes I will use an Indian energy, American Indian energy, with herbs, and it comes in a pack of herbs, and they sort of downloaded this idea and this concept that if we impact the body and fill it with the herbs that are needed, so we cover the wound with this pack. And this came to me quite a few years ago, and I went, really? So yeah, it's worked quite a bit, and I think I use it energetically to reboot the body. And it's sacred. It's like old medicine. It's not new. It's been around forever. And so some of these tools or these I would say, tactile healings have come to me, and I've channeled them, and I'm feeling grateful that it's there. So,
Okay.
anyway.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I wanted people to understand that there's all sorts of different ways to do energy healing. There's all sorts of things that are emotion based, physical based. You know, there's all sorts of different ways to do this. But this was like psychic surgery without surgery. And this was, I just knew I wanted to be out of pain. I'm sure we could talk about cancer and some of the other things that you've worked with that that are much more persistent or chronic than what I just caught some boogers. But sorry. Sorry about that. But
That's
no,
right.
but no, I was a science project. But it went away like the next day. It went away right away. It was like lifted. So that's when you know that, wow, that was night and day difference. Now, when you're doing work with chronic disease, or there's an emotional attachment to the attention people are getting from the disease, that's got to be a little different. But you even have used this work on yourself, and that's another thing. Hardly any of the healers, I've been doing this for 23 years, hardly any of the healers that I work with have been able to work on themselves. Almost all of them have to go to another healer, and you were able to work on yourself. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because that's super cool. That's amazing.
So during this training of working with Rosalyn and working with John and Gloria and working as an energy healer at a facility in Cincinnati, I began to increase my abilities. At the same time, was living life with 3 small children. My father was diagnosed with cancer, and he passed away. And life as it is, you know, the body doesn't lie, and the body will respond with grief, sadness, and pressure of life. And I believe that if there's a weakness in the body, disease will come also through our emotional instability. So I had cervical cancer, and of course that's first chakra, and that's survival. And of course, going through losing my father was tremendous. And I had an experience with the doctor saying, "Oh, we need to take everything out," and et cetera, et cetera. And I said, "I don't think so. I don't want to do that." So I found somebody else that said, "No, you don't have to take everything out." And I said, "Good, because I'm going to work with my own body, and I'm going to heal it. As you do your work, I'm going to do mine." And with cancer, you want to wrap energy around the cell and shrink it. You don't want to explode it because you want to shrink it. So along with that, the emotional component was forgiveness, looking at grief, seeing myself whole, functioning, not anybody taking away my parts. So I think that was really, really important. So every night I would put my hands, right where on my lower part of my body, and run energy in that area and say, "You are whole, you are perfect. Let's clear the cancer and go forward with life." So I didn't talk about this to anybody because they don't know if they'd understand. So I never did. And until I realized how to use this technique through my own abilities on other patients, other people. But I think that we all have cancer cells in our body. So if we can understand and have a relationship with it and not fear it, just say, "Okay, it's a blip. Let's get past it and through it, and hopefully we'll stand on our 2 feet again. So it worked. I'm cancer free and healthy. And anyway, it's just fear is the main thing that pulls us away from being in current time and trying to know that with positive thought, things can change. And I really believe that. I live by it. So anyway.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the path from head to heart too, because that's what we're seeing right now, is that so many people, as people our age and 20 years younger, we were pretty much taught, that we'll think it through, we'll figure it out through, that rely on your brains. That's the truth of it. Whereas right now we're seeing the journey to heart is really the path to everything. That's our spiritual basis, and that's our way in the world. Could you talk a little bit about that? The expansiveness, or the way that you use your system to help people, because that's the evolution of consciousness. And your system, the SHEVA method, works with the vessel that we stood in line to get as a school, and incorporates that. So it's not all out of body and out of, but it's heart-centered.
Heart-centered for sure. So if we look at the chakra system as a science, okay, so everything has a chakra system. There are 7 chakras in our system, in our organs, in our blood. Everything has a chakra system. So if we think about balancing that through a meditation, it's a physical concept of where these chakras are. And interesting, I taught yesterday at UC, University of Cincinnati, with some kids. And I gave them a chakra meditation, which is on my website, free, download it for free at the homepage. And she said, wow, I do yoga all the time. And they say, well, go to your 3rd chakra, but I never knew where it was.
Wow.
She didn't know what it meant. She didn't know what it was from or what it was for. So the identity of each center is so important to understand, not only where it is physically, but how the component works emotionally, physically, spiritually in your body and aura. So essentially, it's like you've got a spine, and it's near the spine, you've got 7 centers, and each center has a meaning and a purpose. So there are 3 below and there are 3 above, and in the middle is the heart. And it's always going to come back to the heart. And that is a beautiful green color. And actually, I'm doing these mandalas that I created. But this is the most, people get drawn to this. So the 4th chakra is to accept and receive, to love and be loved, to contact and live in the heart center, the source of love. It is the place where we all feel right in the world and with us in it. So this is the color green. It's beautiful. And this is the mandala that I created. So it's a feeling, it's a focus of, it's always going to come back to the home. So another, this is interesting. I pulled this, Kathy, before. Yes. Oh, this is my book, sorry. And this is a subject, the 4th chakra. So it's a study of all the chakras and each one in depth. So this is love. Love, being at the altar of truth, provides an instinctual understanding of what is without question. You can now ground, which is the 1st chakra, create, which is the 2nd, and be present in love as you continue the process of creating what you want in harmony.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it is about that harmonious place. However, we find it, and each one of us is unique and in our own body and everything. Where each one of us interprets life differently, but yet we're the same. So I really feel that is the answer. So,
well, the heart's so important, especially we're coming into Valentine's Day. And this, I do believe a lot of the journey that we've been in this past 3 years has been to get us back to the heart and to see what really is important. We were so distracted and so out there, and all of your work brings the benefit of the reunion to us. Could you talk a little bit about the things that you've seen happen from the SHEVA method when people do reconnect to who they really are? Because I think the training that we went through is like, get over it, just keep going. Just, I'll come back to that later. I take care of everyone else instead of taking care of yourself first. All of that work, and then we've had this pause where it was like, hey, no, maybe my outside is a reflection of my inside, and maybe I could do something with that. But could you give an example? I mean, that was a perfect example of the class you taught yesterday at the University of Cincinnati. Because I think a lot of people do yoga and some of these practices that were intended as spiritual, but they're exercise programs now. They didn't get the memo.
No.
So could you talk about how, maybe a lawyer or someone like that didn't spend any time in their body, and then you got them to reconnect, or
so I've worked with therapists and lawyers and doctors, and I think that an example of, she's a therapist, and she was extremely psychic, and I taught meditation at the Affinity Center, which is a place for psychologists to work with ADHD kids and adults. Anyway, she was always afraid because she kept seeing things, and she was afraid to realize that she was absolutely, completely, really, really intuitive. And I taught her how to use it in her practice.
Wonderful.
So she could understand the energy of the clients. And I think that's really, really cool when that can cross over and people can utilize the work with their own work. Another lawyer could wear two hats. He could wear, the practical one and know all that stuff, and then he has a spiritual one. And I said, well, let's blend them together so that you can use your psychological or your psyche and your intuitive, clairvoyant self to understand the next step in your life. So those two were put together, and that becomes something else when you view things from another perspective. So that was really cool. I love that, because the stress of, this other brain, I got to do it this way, I got to do it that way, because I was trained that way. And I said, wait a minute, let's make it a little bit bigger. So that was very cool. Another recent one I had, she had some issues very similar to what our conversation was with COVID, and how she's kind of reverted back to herself and trying to figure out, what's important to her, and what's, she lost her parents, she's lost some houses. And anyway, so basically, I think we all are choosing people that we connect with, and we're not going to allow ourselves to be robbed by those that are not dealing with their lives. So, I've been working with her. This is my third time, and I just said, you just need to know that you are love, and that all you have to do is share your energy and protect yourself from those that are not running in love, because then it becomes more simple. So allowing ourselves to not take care of, or understanding what our responsibilities are and what our responsibilities aren't, and what we are willing to put up with, is so important.
Yes.
So she, third session, I put her on the table, and she was like, what? Sort of like you, Kathy. But anyway, so I taught her some tricks about where to run energy in the middle of the night if she's not sleeping, and that she's okay, and that love is always around you and present, and stop all that other stuff. You don't need all those other things that pull you away from being where you want to be. So
beautiful. So do you find that a lot of the frequency work that you do is clearing the trauma that they may have? Because a lot of these people are highly intuitive and psychic. That skill may have happened from being traumatized in childhood, and they're still wearing a costume thinking that it's not safe to come out yet.
Right.
You're making it safe to come out now.
Yes.
Making it a superpower.
Yeah. So they finally get permission.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably the hardest thing to understand, that we are allowed to be here, and we're allowed to be here in the best way we know how. And right now the energy is here, and I cannot, every time I say, people, we are here. Yeah. We are here to use this energy, to utilize it to our best ability.
Yes.
And it's thrilling. It's thrilling. And just to see like somebody bubbling up and feeling themselves in a way that's like, wow, who is that? Who is that kid? I came back, or wow.
The thing is there's something holy about having someone see you totally. When you, the trauma, drama, shame, whatever you want to call it, those scripts that we've had since we were 4 or 5 years old, where, the family drama, you don't want to talk about, from the outside, it looks like a nice, normal family. On the inside, it's not.
Right.
And all of us grew up in that. Everybody did. I mean, and I still haven't met anyone who had the perfect family. I mean, you felt loved, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's conditional love, because that's all they were taught. It wasn't anyone's fault. We chose these families. We chose it all.
Right.
But what I started to say is that the relief of having someone really see you fully and accept you, and then help you love yourself back to knowing what unconditional love is from source, and utilizing that in your life, that's invaluable. I don't think people understand that. Could you talk about what that because I'm sure that's what the energy work that all of your teachers must have taught that as well. But that's, you're holding space for that, right? Could you talk a little bit about that, so that people might be able to relate their situation? That might be a hard one. I'm sorry, but
let's rephrase that again.
Okay, so you hold space.
I hold space for
someone to actually see their divinity. And then you hold space like training wheels for them to use that perspective and change their life. It isn't a like a near-death experience or a spiritually transformative experience where you are so out of, you're in chaos after that. This is this loving, hand-holding, nurturing space that someone lets you experience, and it's like training wheels so you can do it yourself.
Right.
Right? Could
Yeah.
you talk about that?
Yeah, I think that there are two things that happen. And one is, maybe not just two, but anyway, one is to acknowledge what the mind is saying, the self-talk. So, for instance, understanding the Enneagram or the personality sort of traps. You know, what is the trap that you keep telling yourself or someone else is telling you that you have to be this way or that way or this way? When in fact, your body and your mind and your heart are screaming to change that. So acknowledging what the thought is or what the pull away from being loving to yourself is number one. Number two, so it's a cognitive thing that they're getting. Number two, finding the energetic resource of resistance. I'm going to say that again. The energetic resource of resistance. So where is the resistance to love and to love yourself? No, I can't answer. You know, it's really about when someone's here or if somebody's in front of me, it is a dual thing, but I'm not going to find that. You're going to find that. So I believe that you will find it, because that's what brings happiness and joy. And that's what we all want, you know. So it's you're looking at that resistance and what keeps pulling you away from it. And then once we understand what that is, or they do, that window starts opening. And then I said, okay, let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's bring in more love. Let's bring in more understanding that you're okay. If you lay on the floor and say, what do I need for me today? Classic thing that I do. My fingers are on my heart. I'm pushing right here. What do I need to do for me today? Which means it slows you down and you have to listen to yourself, not anybody else. Just yourself.
Beautiful.
A lot of people can't answer that question. It takes a long time, especially women.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah, we've been trained to be in service to everyone, and that's the path to love, which is also conditional love.
right. So, I know it's crazy.
It is. I mean, the whole programming that we got. You know, you have to look at all of it and say, well, it's almost like clearing your closet and using a method of do I love this? Do I not love this? Do I love this? Do I not love it? And then putting the pile and getting rid of it. Well, we're carrying along all of those thoughts and almost some, when you had said what are you thinking, we're almost caught in thought loops.
Right. And that's for the energy around the head, all those patterns. So you just, you create a tool and you start releasing. You take a shovel and start shoveling. Or you do it with balloons, or you do it with whatever, bubbles, or what, like somebody said. I love it. Everybody has different ways of releasing their stuff, but anyway.
Yeah. So you flashed the beautiful you flashed your book, which I'm gonna put my copy up. It's called Emergence, and it's absolutely beautiful. It was produced by Balboa Press, and I do have a post a note on part of it on this picture, which you brought up too.
Yeah, that's funny.
We're on the same wavelength. But it's absolutely beautiful, you guys. It's in full color, and it's a great tool for remembering and honoring this beautiful, this miracle of a experience that whoever created this whole system we're in created this vessel with all of these ways to regulate, I guess is the right word, the energies, but we kind of forgot about it. Or during colonization, we went to a different model of reality, and it's time to go back to this reality that really is energetically supportive, and it's natural. I mean, we are part of the earth, and that's the system that the chakras allow you to tap into the energy that's in motion and invisible, but you might feel it.
Right. And so I think, as there are 4 elements are in our bodies, we have earth, water, fire, air. The first is earth, the second is water, emotions. Earth is the grounding, so you're always wanting to stay grounded. The second is water, which is emotions, creativity, boundaries. The third is fire, which is empowerment, so finding that authentic self. Fourth is air, so you're breathing in abundant love. So we're all part of that. So we always work with the grounding cord to the center of the earth, and then gold cosmic energy, and combine the two, and use tools to keep releasing all that muck. So I think that it's interesting. Last night, I had this vision, and I said, well, Kathy's going to ask me this question, and I'm going to think, well, how did I get to that point? So I'm going to give you an image, and this is something that I have seen as a young child, performing and understanding what that is. So it's interesting. I drew this, and whenever I would choreograph or perform, or you're watching a stage in front of you of dance or music or theater or whatever, if you think about that unity that happens in the performance, and the energy that is transpired in one room, we're in a journey, and that journey is live, and we're part of that. And I really think that, in my training, I had to be on the catwalk. So I observed creativity from above, and I thought, wow, this is really interesting, because this is like life. We're from a bird's eye view. And I think that's what we need to come back to, so that we are free to observe without all this stuff, that we can let life flow. So I think that word, bird's eye view, and that in a theater, we're all one. We're all part of this process, even though we have our unique ways of approaching it. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you and I have talked about bird's eye view before, when you're in conversation right here with us, and you're also the observer. Well, what we're talking about, a lot of it is judgment of self and others. Mm-hmm. When we realize that these self-talk issues may not have been ours, it might have been our great aunts or our grandparents, that you're running these tapes, and it's not about us. And then we look at somebody else as another aspect of us, we lose judgment. And the relinquishment of judgment of ourselves and others is the path to peace and releasing suffering. Because our judgment holds us separate, and it really doesn't serve us. I think we used to think our judgment kept us safe.
Right.
But it doesn't.
Mm-mm.
In fact, it probably keeps us unsafe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we look at tradition and we look at the higher qualities of tradition and then bring it up to date, so we are bringing it in current time, and then moving it even further so that it's even better. So we pull from the best and keep going.
Right.
I think that is it's not loss. It's you're just increasing the energy and increasing the ability, using those great qualities to support the next step.
Well, Mike Dooley says thoughts are things, and we don't realize how true that is until we start to release the thoughts and the thought patterns. and actually, it's all energy. So that energy that's being used for fearful thoughts or negative thoughts or combative thoughts or protection thoughts, all of that energy could be used to dance or paint or have a joyful experience here, and it's expansive instead of constrictive. But we don't know that until we start doing the work, until we start going inside. And I mean, Jesus said, let them be like children. There was a reason why.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah. But what happens is when people go to Fran, that they have the opportunity to be empowered. She does give you a way processes that help you. It's not just working. She can just do medical medium kind of work where it's healing. But she also, during that, in my experience, gave me also things to do, empowered to keep the energy up. And she also, with the SHEVA method, has a way to teach practitioners if they want to use the SHEVA method into their own practice, which once you learn this, you're going to want this as an additional skill set. It's not Reiki. It's not as standard. It's very different in its application and quick response. The body. You said the body doesn't lie. Could you give a little bit more about that? Because we're holding dark energy in our field, in our elbow, whatever it is, and it wants to be released. And we're going into a time period in Earth's history where we're in a photonic atmosphere that's not going to support those stuck energies anymore.
So, yeah, for instance, I'll give you an example of, see if I can move this a little bit. So this is a acupressure point right at the sternum. So my fingers are right at the sternum.
Okay.
So that is a lung, okay, but it's also lung is grief. So the important thing is that oftentimes, and none of us, we all experience this where we have somebody else's energy around us, or we have our own that we're holding on to, emotions that we need to let go of. So if you push here and then push underneath the collarbone and just hold that for a minute. And for me, I feel my legs, I feel the back of me So if you take a deep breath and exhale, suddenly you feel this scapulas behind you. So it's like, oh my God, I'm 3D. I'm there's a body in back of me, through me, and in front, and even in the side of me. So even that, even if it's you take a deep breath and exhale, if you're getting a little lightheaded, drop your elbows. Good. So even that position is pretty cool because you can just kind of feel yourself running energy on yourself. You know, nobody has to know. This is another one. Let's see.
Back up.
I move my thing. So this is the temple. So the thumbs are on the temple. This is for a brain balancing. And you're going between your eyebrows like this. And just hold it. Now, this is my second finger. And now you're going to keep your thumbs where they are, and then you're going to go around the back of your head. And then come back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool? And then back. So you're saying hello to the whole sixth chakra, which is the pituitary, the pineal, and the occipital, which is ancestry. So that's the sixth. So it's just like this amazing ability. It also helps you focus.
Well, I'm going to do this all day. My goodness.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, that one's great. Thank you for teaching me that.
Yeah,
I have a busy day. That'll be great. Well, you can see that Fran has a different way of working with people. This is not Qigong. I mean, it could be similar to the refreshment and the invigoration of Qi as Tai Chi and Qigong give you, but it's more body-centered. And it really, a good Sugar Bee liked it.
Somebody. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, well, but what we want you to understand is that this is all available to you very quickly to change your state, where you're empowered. This is not necessarily where Fran's got a lock and key on all the information and she's not letting anyone have it. In contrast, she wants everyone to know how to do the SHEVA method, to have access to the videos or the classes or coaching or sessions. She wants you to be able to have a life of joy and co-create with the universe at a really high level. And it's time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's for you. You know, it's just, I'm just here to facilitate, and then you take the material and run with it, and use it for yourself.
Well, it's fun though. See,
yeah,
the fun part of it is this isn't like, oh, I've got to do that. This isn't like piano lessons where you had to do piano.
No, I'm not clapping your hand. No.
No, in fact, you're there. Seriously, I've seen so many different changes. Fran did a lovely free meditation to my list and her list to release 2022 and bring in the good stuff for 2023. And I was shocked how strong it was. And I hope we get to do some more with that recording or we get to do more of those. You guys, this is really a very powerful path for you to be empowered and choose you in love and learn how to do that. It wasn't taught to our parents. Maybe it was taught to 5, 10, 20 generations ago, and it just didn't get passed down. Okay, so Sugar Bee can't get rid of her left foot pain in her heel.
What?
So Sugar Bee says, I can't get rid of my left my left foot pain in my heel, and I walk a lot at work. End of my shift, I'm limping, so painful. We'll figure something out. I can't live on pain pills, is what she's saying.
Does she do acupuncture?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Okay.
Sugar Bee, go to franbaileyhealer.com. And here I put it in the chat. And here I'll put it up. And go download her free gift on the front page and start there. And then you'll be on the email list for when she does other things. You'll see this can be fixed in a session. I mean, that's what people don't understand. The suffering is optional.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that I will add to that I think I'm a tool, but there are lots of, I may suggest other things or other modalities to help that person as well. So right. I'm not the end all, which is important to know that,
Yeah. I know you're not claiming that you can do it in a snap just like you did for me, but I would say that I
get close.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I'm evidence that you've been doing this for 20 years and you have a huge following in Cincinnati. There are people that would say you can do that. And most of the time it's us just clearing the path to love. It's just love is not love is stuck somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it just needs to vibrate higher and go bye-bye. So anything else that you'd like to share? We're almost at the end of our time. And thank you so much, Fran. I love what you do. Right? I hope people understand that.
Yeah, I think it's authentic. So I'm going to tell you, it's the real deal. I certainly am not perfect and understand that humans have, we all have qualities, but we also have to look at this and have fun with it and be humorous about ourselves. That's number one too. We're like, okay, we're going to have that thought again. Great. Let's hang on to that. Or did I put myself in that situation again? Yes. Okay. So let's change that. No, it's fun. It's all good, and I'm thrilled to be working with you, Kathy, and you're awesome, and it's just gets better and better. So how lucky are we? I don't know. Feel.
I want to bring up the heart chakra again since we're going into Valentine's Day next week, and want to give everyone some vibes. These are wonderful chakra laminated tools that healers can use underneath their clients, underneath the healing tables, or you can meditate on each one. And they're very powerful. They're they're amazing tools. There's so much beautiful light in them. So that's another thing I wanted people to know. When you go to her site, you'll see that there's so many opportunities for you to change things that no longer serve you. And we're in that time. We're in that time where we get to choose and we get to grow. And she says, okay, so we'll talk to Sugar Bee afterwards, but
okay.
Thank you, Fran, so much. And
thank you.
And thank you for the path and the remembrance of who we really are, because that's the key to our joyful reunion with each other and ourselves. We're all a piece and powerful piece of source. Yes. And what you're offering is a path back to that knowing. and the fun way to play with it.
Yeah.
It's not just knowing like, oh yeah, those people can do it. It's like, no, hey, I can even do it.
Yeah.
And I can change where my trajectory to joy instead of sadness. But this is a way to process it, and it's gone. It can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
So much. Well, thank you. And again, everyone, please check out the best way to reach you, Fran, is at franbaileyhealer.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you are on social media and stuff, but franbaileyhealer.com, go get your free gift. And you'll see once you listen, you'll know if Fran is your teacher. You'll feel the resonance to the energy. It's pure love. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.